Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his patrol ship New Horizon and watched the stars through the main screen. The year was 2387, and humanity had spread across dozens of star systems like seeds blown by cosmic wind. Jake had been patrolling the outer edge of human space for 3 years now, and he knew every star and planet in this sector. What made his job special was not what he protected, but what he kept out. No alien species had ever entered human territory and lived to tell about it. This was a fact that every being in the galaxy knew. Trade happened only at border stations where humans met other species under careful rules. Beyond those meeting points lay human space, and it was forbidden ground for any non-human life. Jake walked to his science station where Dr. Lisa Carter was studying her screens. Lisa was a xenobiologist, which meant she studied alien life forms. She spent most of her time listening to alien radio signals and trying to understand what other species were saying about humans. What she heard was always the same: fear mixed with curiosity and wild theories about what protected human space. "Any new chatter today, Lisa?" Jake asked as he looked over her shoulder at the data flowing across her screen. "The usual, Captain," Lisa replied without looking up. "The Corvan Empire is still warning their ships to stay away from Sector 7. The Malite traders are spreading stories about human death rays that can kill from 3 star systems away. Oh, and the Zephyrian Collective sent another diplomatic request that was rejected by Admiral Brooks." Jake nodded. He had heard these stories before. Some aliens thought humans had weapons that could destroy entire fleets with a single shot. Others believed humans used biological warfare that targeted alien DNA. A few species whispered that humans had made deals with ancient cosmic entities for protection. None of these stories were true as far as Jake knew, but he was not cleared to know the real truth. "What I find interesting," Lisa continued, "is the pattern in the old records. Over the past 100 years, at least 40 different species have tried to enter human space. Single scout ships first, then small exploration fleets, and sometimes entire armadas. The largest was the Hegemony Invasion Force of 2341 with over 200 ships. "And what happened to them?" Jake asked, even though he knew the answer. "Same thing that happens to all of them, Captain. They cross the border and then silence. No distress calls, no surrender messages, no final transmissions. They just disappear completely. It's like human space swallows them whole." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. He had asked Admiral Brooks about this once during a briefing. The Admiral had simply said that human space was well defended and left it at that. When Jake pressed for details, Brooks had mentioned Protocol 7 and then changed the subject. Protocol 7 was classified above Jake's clearance level. "Lieutenant?" Danny Wright called from the sensor station. "Captain, I'm picking up something big on long-range scanners. It's coming from the direction of the Zephyrian territories." Jake moved to Danny's station and looked at the readings. What he saw made him whistle softly. "How big, Danny?" "Bigger than anything we've ever seen, Captain. The computer estimates it at over 15 kilometers long. It's definitely artificial, and it's heading straight for the border." Lisa joined them at the sensor station. "The Zephyrians have never built anything that large before. This must be something special." Jake opened a communication channel to Sector Command. "Control, this is Captain Morrison aboard New Horizon. We have a massive alien vessel approaching the border, requesting instructions." Admiral Brooks appeared on the screen within minutes. His face was grim and tired-looking. "Captain, what can you tell me about this vessel?" "It's huge, sir. Zephyrian design, but much larger than anything they've built before. Long-range scans show multiple smaller ships attached to the main hull. It looks like some kind of fleet carrier or city ship." "Any weapons?" Brooks asked. Danny checked his readings. "Minimal defensive systems, sir. Nothing that could threaten our patrol ships. It appears to be a civilian vessel." Admiral Brooks was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was heavy with concern. "Captain Morrison, I'm ordering all patrol ships to defensive positions along the border. Do not allow that vessel to cross into human space under any circumstances. I'm also activating the emergency beacon." Jake felt his blood turn cold. The emergency beacon had not been used since the hegemony crisis 40 years ago. "Sir, with respect, what are we dealing with here?" Something that should have stayed in the outer rim, Captain. Maintain your position and wait for reinforcements. And Captain. Brooks paused. Make sure your crew understands that Protocol 7 is in effect. No exceptions. Communication ended, leaving Jake staring at a blank screen. Around him, his crew worked quietly, but he could feel their tension. Protocol 7 was a mystery to all of them, but they knew it meant serious business. Lisa, keep monitoring that ship, Jake ordered. Danny, I want constant updates on its position and course. If it so much as twitches toward the border, I want to know about it. As the hours passed, the alien vessel continued its approach. Jake watched the stars and wondered what secret his own species was hiding that made the entire galaxy fear to enter human space. The massive alien ship slowed as it approached the border between Zephyrian space and human territory. Commander Amy Rodriguez arrived at Border Station Alpha aboard her diplomatic vessel, 3 hours after Admiral Brooks sent the emergency signal. Amy had been humanity's chief negotiator with alien species for 7 years, and she had never seen anything like the ship waiting just outside human space. The vessel was beautiful in an alien way. Its crystalline hull caught starlight and reflected it in patterns that seemed to shift and dance. Smaller ships were docked along its sides like flowers growing from a silver tree. Amy could see that this was not a warship but something much more important to the Zephyrians. Open a communication channel. Amy ordered her communications officer. The main screen flickered and showed the interior of the alien ship. The being that appeared was tall and graceful with skin that looked like living crystal. When it spoke, the universal translator turned its musical voice into words Amy could understand. I am Ambassador Vexahai of the Zephyrian Collective, the alien said with a formal bow. I speak for 12 species who have joined together in peace and cooperation. We have come to establish formal relations with humanity. Amy studied the alien's face. She had dealt with Zephyrians before at border trade meetings. They were known throughout the galaxy as peaceful beings who preferred negotiation to conflict. Ambassador Vexahai, I am Commander Amy Rodriguez, representing the Human Diplomatic Corps. Your ship is impressive, but I must inform you that entry into human space requires special clearance. The ambassador's crystalline features showed confusion. Commander Rodriguez, we have prepared for this meeting for many years. We bring gifts of technology and knowledge. We offer star charts of distant galaxies that your people have never seen. We also bring warning of a great danger that threatens all life in this region of space. What kind of danger? Amy asked. The Void Hunters move again, Vexahai said, and his voice carried genuine fear. Ancient enemies of all living things. They have destroyed entire civilizations in the Outer Rim. We believe they are heading toward this sector. Our combined fleets could stand against them, but only if we work together. Amy felt a chill. She had heard whispers of the Void Hunters in intelligence reports, a nomadic species that consumed everything in their path and left dead worlds behind. If they were really coming, then humanity would need all the allies it could get. Ambassador, I understand the urgency of your mission, but I must follow protocol. I need to contact my superiors for permission to allow your passage. Amy opened a private channel to Admiral Brooks. The Admiral's face appeared on her secondary screen, and she could see the stress lines around his eyes. Admiral, the Zephyrian ambassador is requesting passage to discuss an alliance against something called the Void Hunters. They seem genuine and peaceful. Brooks shook his head slowly. Commander, the answer is no. Protocol 7 is in effect. No. Exceptions, sir, with respect. What is Protocol 7? Amy asked. I've been handling alien relations for 7 years, and I've never been briefed on this protocol. It's classified above your clearance level, Commander. Just inform the ambassador that human space is closed to all alien vessels. Amy stared at the screen. Admiral, these beings are offering to help us against a serious threat. They're not asking for anything except the chance to talk. Commander, you have your orders, Brooks said firmly. Maintain the border. The communication ended and Amy turned back to Ambassador Vexahai. The alien was studying her with large eyes that seemed to see more than they should. I'm sorry, Ambassador, but permission for passage has been denied. Amy said. The Zephyrian's crystal skin dimmed slightly. Commander Rodriguez, may I ask why humanity fears peaceful contact? We have studied your species for decades. You trade with many races at border stations. You have shown wisdom and strength in your expansion across the stars. Why do you hide behind invisible walls? Amy found herself without a good answer. The question had bothered her for years. Why did humans insist on keeping other species out of their territory? What were they hiding, or what were they afraid of? Lieutenant Danny Wright's voice came through the communication system from his position on the New Horizon. Commander Rodriguez, I'm detecting some unusual readings from the Zephyrian vessel. The biological signatures don't match our records of their species. Amy frowned. What do you mean, Lieutenant? The life signs show normal Zephyrian patterns, but there are some additional readings I can't identify. It might be new technology or perhaps other species aboard their ship. Ambassador Vexhai overheard the transmission. Lieutenant Wright, you are correct. This vessel carries representatives from all 12 species in our collective. Perhaps your sensors are detecting our Corvin engineers or our Malite navigators. That made sense, but something in Danny's voice suggested he was still concerned about the readings. Amy made a mental note to have him run more detailed scans. Ambassador, I will continue to work with my superiors on this matter, Amy said. In the meantime, please remain outside the border. Any attempt to cross without permission will be considered an act of war. Vexhai's crystal form seemed to grow brighter with determination. Commander Rodriguez, my people have waited decades for this moment. We will not be turned away by fear and secrecy. The Void Hunters draw closer with each passing day. If humanity will not listen to reason, then we must make them listen. Ambassador, please don't do anything that could be seen as hostile. Amy warned. We are a peaceful people, Commander, but we are also desperate. The fate of billions hangs in the balance. We will enter human space with or without permission. Our intentions are pure, and we believe that will protect us from whatever defenses you have hidden. The communication ended and Amy stared at the blank screen. Around her, the bridge crew worked quietly, but she could feel their tension. Something was about to happen and none of them understood what they were really facing. Admiral Brooks appeared on her screen again. Commander, the Zephyrian vessel is powering up its engines. All ships are to maintain defensive positions. Under no circumstances allow them to cross the border. Amy looked out at the beautiful crystalline ship and felt a deep sadness. Whatever humanity was hiding behind Protocol 7 was about to be tested, and she had a feeling that nothing would ever be the same again. The Zephyrian fleet crossed into human space at exactly 1400 hours ship time. Captain Jake Morrison watched from the bridge of the New Horizon as the massive crystalline vessel and its escort ships passed the invisible line that marked the border. He expected immediate action from the mysterious defenses that protected human territory, but nothing happened. The alien ships moved slowly through the outer system, scanning planets and monitoring human communication channels. Their transmissions were peaceful and filled with wonder at what they saw. Ambassador Vexahai's voice came across the radio describing beautiful worlds covered in green forests and blue oceans. Look at what they have built, the ambassador said to his crew. Cities that float among the stars like jewels. Entire worlds transformed from barren rock into gardens. Humanity has mastered the art of making life flourish where none existed before. Dr. Lisa Carter monitored every transmission from her station aboard the New Horizon. She found herself smiling at the aliens' genuine amazement at human achievements. These beings clearly meant no harm, and their appreciation for human civilization was touching. Captain, they've been in our space for 6 hours now, Lisa reported. No signs of any defensive systems activating, no weapons fire, no interference with their ships. Whatever is supposed to protect human space doesn't seem to be working. Jake frowned as he studied the sensor readings. Or maybe the stories about our defenses were just propaganda to keep aliens away from our worlds. Lieutenant Danny Wright looked up from his console with concern written across his face. Captain, I'm still getting those strange readings from the Zephyrian ships. The biological signatures are definitely changing. Changing how? Lisa asked as she moved to Danny's station. When they first arrived, The life signs matched normal Zephyrian patterns. But over the past few hours, the readings have been shifting. It's subtle but consistent across all their vessels. Lisa studied the data flowing across Danny's screen. As a xenobiologist, she understood alien life signs better than anyone on the ship. What she saw made her stomach tighten with worry. Danny ran a comparison between current readings and the signatures from 6 hours ago. The computer processed the request and displayed the results. The difference was small but unmistakable. The alien life signs were becoming more aggressive. Brain activity patterns showed increased activity in regions associated with violence and territorial behavior. This could be normal stress response to entering unknown territory, Lisa said, but her voice carried doubt. Or it could be something else entirely. Captain Morrison received new orders from Admiral Brooks to follow the alien fleet at a safe distance. The New Horizon and 3 other patrol ships began shadowing the Zephyrian vessels as they moved deeper into human space. What Jake saw over the next few hours disturbed him greatly. The alien ships began to separate from their tight formation. Individual vessels started changing course toward human colonies despite their original mission being purely diplomatic. The peaceful transmissions became fewer, and when they did come, they carried an edge of anger that had not been there before. New Terra colony reports unusual activity, Danny announced. 3 Zephyrian ships have taken up position near the outer defense platforms. They're not responding to hails from the colonial government. Lisa was studying tissue samples in the medical bay when the terrible truth began to dawn on her. For years, she had been analyzing biological material recovered from the sites of previous alien incursions into human space. The standard story was that these aliens had been destroyed by human defenses, but Lisa had never seen any weapons damage on the samples. What she saw under the microscope made her blood run cold. The alien tissue showed signs of massive neural restructuring. Brain cells had been altered at the genetic level by something that looked like microscopic parasites. These tiny organisms had completely rewritten the alien nervous systems. Computer display all biological samples from alien incursions over the past 50 years, Lisa commanded. The data appeared on her screen and the pattern was unmistakable. Every alien species that had entered human space showed the same neural modifications. The parasites were present in every sample regardless of the original species' biology. Lisa ran to the communication console in the medical bay. Captain Morrison, please respond immediately. Jake's voice came through the speaker. Go ahead, Lisa. Captain, I think I know what happened to all the aliens who tried to enter human space. They weren't destroyed by weapons. They were changed by something biological. Parasites that alter brain function. What kind of changes? Jake asked. The kind that would turn a peaceful explorer into an aggressive predator. Captain, these organisms don't kill aliens. They transform them into something violent and hostile. Jake felt his world shift as the implications hit him. Are you saying that all the alien attacks on human colonies were actually peaceful beings who got infected by something in our space? That's exactly what I'm saying, Captain. And if I'm right, then the Zephyrian fleet is undergoing the same transformation right now. As if to confirm Lisa's theory, the communication system crackled with a transmission from Ambassador Vexhai. But the voice that came through the speakers was no longer the polite diplomatic tone they had heard before. Humans, Vexhai snarled, your species is a plague that must be cleansed from the galaxy. We come now to burn your worlds and scatter your ashes among the stars. The transmission ended, and Jake stared at the communication console in horror. On the sensor screen, the Zephyrian ships had abandoned all pretense of peaceful exploration. They were arming their weapons and setting course for the nearest human colony. Lisa, how long do we have before they reach New Terra? Jake asked. At their current speed, about 18 hours, Captain. Jake opened a channel to Admiral Brooks. Admiral, we have a situation. The Zephyrian fleet has turned hostile and is heading for New Terra colony. Dr. Carter believes they've been infected by some kind of parasite that alters their behavior. Brooks appeared on the screen, and his face showed no surprise. Captain, you and your crew are now cleared for Protocol 7 briefing. Return to base. Immediately. We have a lot to discuss. As the New Horizon changed course toward the naval base, Jake wondered how many peaceful species had crossed into human space, only to be transformed into monsters. The thought that his own people might be responsible for turning diplomats into killers made him feel sick. Behind them, the Zephyrian fleet continued toward New Terra, and Jake knew that unless something was done quickly, another species would be lost to whatever dark secret humanity was hiding in their space. Dr. Lisa Carter worked frantically in her laboratory aboard the naval base trying to understand the microscopic organisms she had discovered. The parasites were unlike anything in known biology. They appeared to be artificially created with genetic markers that suggested human engineering. The horrible truth was becoming clear, and Lisa felt sick as she studied the data. Admiral Brooks entered the laboratory with Captain Morrison and Commander Rodriguez. His face was grim as he approached Lisa's workstation. "Doctor, what have you found?" Brooks asked. Lisa looked up from her microscope with tears in her eyes. "Admiral, these parasites are human-made. They were designed to target alien nervous systems and rewrite their basic behavioral patterns. The organisms are completely harmless to human biology but devastating to any non-human life form." "How do they work?" Amy asked. "They attach to neural pathways and slowly alter brain chemistry. The process takes several hours to complete, but once it's finished, the infected being becomes consumed with rage toward humans. They lose all capacity for rational thought and become driven only by the need to attack human settlements." Admiral Brooks sat down heavily in a nearby chair. "Doctor, I need to show you something that was classified above your clearance level until now." Brooks activated a wall display that showed historical records dating back over 200 years. "When humanity first began expanding into space, we discovered a derelict alien vessel drifting near the outer colonies. The ship was ancient, and its crew had been dead for centuries, but we found something in their biological samples." The display showed microscopic images of the same parasites Lisa had been studying. These organisms were already present in the alien remains. Our scientists determined that they had been created by an unknown species as a biological weapon. Instead of destroying them, we made a terrible decision. "You weaponized them," Lisa whispered. "We modified them to be more effective and then released them throughout human space. The parasites are everywhere now, in the air and the water, even in the hulls of our ships. They create an invisible barrier that turns any potential invader into an attacker." Captain Morrison stared at the Admiral in shock. "Sir, are you telling us that every alien incursion in the past century was actually a peaceful mission that got infected?" "Every single one, Captain. The Corvin exploration fleet of 2298 came seeking trade agreements. The Malite scientists of HFY 2341 wanted to study our terraforming techniques. The Hegemony Armada was responding to our refusal to allow their diplomatic missions through." Amy felt rage building in her chest. "How many species have we destroyed with this deception?" 40. "3 confirmed," Brooks replied quietly. "Possibly more that we never detected." The communication system activated and Colonel Pete Harrison's voice came through the speakers. "Admiral, the Zephyrian fleet has reached New Terra's outer defense perimeter. They're broadcasting threats and demands for surrender. My forces are ready to engage." Brooks looked at his officers with despair in his eyes. "Colonel Harrison, you are cleared for defensive action. Protect the colony at all costs." Lisa grabbed the Admiral's arm. "Sir, we can't let this happen again. I've been working on a cure for the parasitic infection. If I can get to the Zephyrian fleet, I might be able to reverse the process. Doctor, the transformation is nearly complete by now. Those beings are no longer the peaceful diplomats who entered our space. They're killers driven by artificial rage. But they're still victims, Admiral. We did this to them." Amy stepped forward. "Sir, I volunteer to take Dr. Carter to the Zephyrian fleet. If there's a chance to save them, we have to try." Brooks shook his head. "Commander, it's too dangerous. The infected aliens always fight to the death. They never surrender and they never retreat." Meanwhile, in the depths of space, the transformation of the Zephyrian fleet was reaching its final stage. Ambassador Vexhai stood on his bridge surrounded by crew members whose crystalline skin now pulsed with unnatural red light. His own features had changed, becoming sharp and predatory. "Status report," Vexhai demanded in a voice that no longer carried any trace of his former diplomatic courtesy. All ships report ready for attack, his tactical officer replied. The human colony has minimal defenses. We can overwhelm them within hours. Good. We will burn their cities and kill every human we find. This plague species will learn the price of contaminating peaceful visitors. HFY had no memory of his original peaceful intentions. The parasites had rewritten his brain so completely that he believed humans had always been his enemies. The BAO, diplomatic mission, was forgotten, replaced by an artificial desire for genocide that felt completely natural to his infected mind. Back at the naval base, Lisa was loading her experimental cure into a shuttle, despite Admiral Brooks' protests. Doctor, this is suicide. The Zephyrians will destroy your ship the moment you approach. Maybe, Lisa replied as she checked her equipment. But I have to try. We can't keep letting innocent species be turned into monsters. Captain Morrison appeared at the shuttle bay. Lisa, I'm coming with you. You'll need protection and someone to pilot the ship. Jake, it's too dangerous. Amy protested. More dangerous than living with the knowledge that we've been murdering peaceful aliens for 2 centuries, Jake replied. I've served in the fleet for 15 years believing I was protecting humanity. Now I find out I've been part of a system that creates the very enemies we fight against. Admiral Brooks watched helplessly as Lisa and Jake prepared to launch. If you're determined to do this, then take this. He handed Lisa a datapad. Complete records of the parasitic organisms and all our research into possible cures. Maybe it will help. The shuttle launched into space, heading toward New Terra, where the Zephyrian fleet was beginning its attack. Lisa worked frantically to modify her cure while Jake pushed the shuttle's engines to their maximum speed. Jake, I'm detecting weapons fire ahead, Lisa announced. The battle has started. Through the view screen, they could see the flashes of energy weapons as human defense platforms engaged the infected Zephyrian ships. Both sides were fighting desperately, not knowing that they were really victims of the same terrible deception. Lisa, can your cure work if the transformation is complete? Jake asked. I don't know, Lisa admitted. But I have to believe that somewhere, inside those infected minds, the original personalities are still fighting to break free. As they approached the battle zone, Jake wondered if they would live long enough to find out. Dr. Lisa Carter and Captain Jake Morrison approached the Zephyrian flagship as weapons fire erupted around them. The massive crystalline vessel was locked in battle with New Terra's defense platforms, but Lisa managed to get close enough to dock with an emergency airlock. The cure she carried was untested, and she had no idea if it would work on beings whose transformation was nearly complete. The interior of the alien ship was chaos. Crew members fought each other in the corridors as their altered minds struggled against remaining traces of their original personalities. The beautiful crystal halls were stained with alien blood and echoed with screams of rage and confusion. Lisa and Jake made their way toward the bridge, following emergency lighting that flickered between normal white and angry red. They found Ambassador HFY in the command center staring at tactical displays that showed the battle raging around his ship. His crystalline features had become sharp and predatory, but Lisa could see pain in his large eyes. Ambassador HFY, Lisa called out. I'm Dr. Carter from the human fleet. I'm here to help you. The alien turned toward her with a snarl. Human plague bearer, you will die for what your species has done to the galaxy. But even as he spoke, Lisa could see the confusion in his expression. Part of his mind was fighting against the artificial rage that consumed him. She quickly activated her cure dispenser and sprayed the antidote into the air around the bridge. The effect was not immediate, but after several minutes HFY began to change. The red glow faded from his crystal skin, and his features softened. When he looked at Lisa again, his eyes showed recognition and horror. What have we done? He whispered. I remember now. We came in peace. We wanted to help humanity against the Void Hunters, but something changed us, made us into monsters. Lisa helped the ambassador to his feet. You were infected by parasites that we released into space, organisms designed to turn peaceful visitors into attackers. I have a cure, but we need to get it to your entire crew. HFY activated the ship's communication system. All crew members report to medical bays immediately. Dr. Carter will administer treatment for the infection that has altered our minds. As Lisa worked to cure the Zephyrian, Crew Jake received an urgent transmission from Admiral Brooks. Captain, we have a bigger problem. Our deep space sensors are detecting massive fleets approaching from the outer rim. The void hunters that the Zephyrians warned us about are heading straight for this sector. Jake felt his blood run cold. How many ships, Admiral? Over 1,000 vessels, Captain. Maybe more. They'll reach human space in less than 18 hours. The communication was interrupted by another voice. Lieutenant Danny Wright was calling from his position aboard the New Horizon. Admiral, I'm detecting something else. The parasitic barrier that protects human space is starting to break down. Something about the Zephyrian cure is affecting the organisms throughout the sector. Admiral Brooks appeared on the screen and his face showed the weight of an impossible decision. The cure is neutralizing our defenses, Captain. If we complete the treatment for the Zephyrian fleet, we'll leave human space completely vulnerable to the Void Hunter attack. Lisa looked up from her work, treating infected aliens. Admiral, we can't leave these beings to suffer because of our fear. They came here to help us and we turned them into killers. We have to make this right. Doctor, if we drop our defenses, humanity could be destroyed. The Void Hunters don't negotiate. They consume everything in their path. Ambassador Vexhai, who was now fully recovered, approached the communication console. Admiral Brooks, I understand your fear, but you must listen to me. The Zephyrian Collective represents 12 species with advanced technology and powerful fleets. If you save us from this infection, we will stand with humanity against the Void Hunters. How do I know you won't attack us once you're cured? Brooks asked. Because, Ambassador. Lisa said, the cure doesn't just remove the parasites. It restores their original memories and personalities. They'll remember that they came here as friends. Colonel Harrison's voice came through the communication system. Admiral, the Zephyrian ships around New Terra have stopped firing. Some of them are requesting permission to land medical teams to help with the wounded. Jake could hardly believe what he was hearing. Admiral, the cure is working. The aliens are returning to their original peaceful nature. Admiral Brooks was quiet for a long moment as he struggled with the most difficult decision of his life. All ships stand down from defensive positions. Begin immediate distribution of Dr. Carter's cure throughout human space. We're dropping the parasitic barrier. Sir, are you certain? Amy Rodriguez asked from her position at Border Station Alpha. Commander, if we're going to face the Void Hunters, then we need to do it with clean hands and honest allies. No more deception. No more turning friends into enemies. The process of neutralizing the parasitic organisms took several hours. As the invisible barrier that had protected human space for centuries began to fade, Lisa watched Zephyrian crew members remember their original mission. Many wept as they realized what they had been forced to do under the influence of the infection. Ambassador, Lisa asked, tell me about the Void Hunters. What are we really facing? Vexhai's expression became grave. They are ancient beings who consume life itself. They travel between galaxies, leaving only dead worlds behind. Our combined intelligence suggests they destroyed the species that originally created the parasites you found. How do we fight something like that? Jake asked. With unity, Captain. The Void Hunters are powerful, but they have never faced a coordinated defense by multiple species. Human tactical knowledge combined with Zephyrian technology and the resources of our 12-member worlds might be enough. Admiral Brooks appeared on the communication screen again. All ships' long-range sensors confirm Void Hunter fleets entering the outer system. Estimated time to engagement 6 hours. This is Admiral Brooks to all human and Zephyrian vessels. Prepare for battle. Lisa looked around the bridge of the alien ship where humans and Zephyrians now worked side by side. At least if we're going to face the end of everything, we'll do it as allies instead of enemies. Ambassador Vexhai placed a crystalline hand on her shoulder. Dr. Carter, your courage in coming here and risking everything to save us will not be forgotten, regardless of what happens in the coming battle. Through the view screen, they could see ships from both species moving into defensive formations. The lies and deception that had kept them apart for centuries were finally ended, but they had very little time to build the trust they would need to survive what was coming. The cure spread through the Zephyrian fleet, but the process was brutal. Many crew members did not survive the removal of the parasitic organisms that had rewritten their minds. Dr. Lisa Carter worked alongside alien medics, trying to save as many lives as possible while the countdown to the Void Hunter attack continued. Ambassador Vexhai lay dying in the medical bay of his flagship. The parasites had damaged his crystalline matrix beyond repair, and the cure could not reverse all the harm that had been done. With his final breaths, he spoke to Captain Jake Morrison, who stood beside his bed. "Captain Morrison," Vexhai whispered, "you must know that we forgive humanity for what was done to us. The beings who created the parasites are the true enemy. Your species simply made a terrible choice out of fear." "Ambassador, we should have found another way," Jake replied. "We should have trusted in peace instead of hiding behind biological weapons. Perhaps, but wisdom often comes only through suffering. Use what you have learned to build a better future." The ambassador's light faded and his crystal form became still. Around the medical bay, other Zephyrians mourned their lost leader while human doctors worked to save the survivors. Admiral Brooks made the hardest decision of his military career. Standing in the command center of New Terra, he gave the order that would change everything. "All ships, this is Admiral Brooks. Shut down the parasitic barrier immediately. Full decontamination of human space begins now." The process took precious hours while Void Hunter ships drew closer. The microscopic organisms that had protected human territory for 2 centuries were neutralized by atmospheric processors and medical teams working around the clock. Commander Amy Rodriguez coordinated the Joint Defense Fleet from Border Station, Alpha. Human ships took positions alongside Zephyrian vessels in the first real alliance between species in living memory. The combined force was impressive, but everyone knew it might not be enough. "All ships enemy contact in 30 minutes, Amy announced. "Human vessels will provide tactical coordination. Zephyrian ships will handle heavy assault. Remember, we're fighting for more than just our own survival. We're fighting for the right of all species to exist in peace." The Void Hunter fleet emerged from hyperspace like a plague of metal locusts. Their ships were black and twisted things that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. There were over 1,000 vessels ranging from small fighters to massive world killers that dwarfed even the largest human battleships. Captain Morrison led a squadron of mixed human and Zephyrian ships in the opening assault. The battle was unlike anything in recorded history. Human tactical knowledge combined with alien technology created new strategies that neither species could have developed alone. "Target their command ships first," Jake ordered. "Zephyrian vessels concentrate fire on the largest targets. Human ships provide cover and electronic warfare support." The fighting was brutal with heavy casualties on both sides. The Void Hunters were experienced killers who had destroyed countless civilizations, but they had never faced organized resistance from multiple species working together. Admiral Brooks piloted his flagship directly into the enemy formation, knowing it was a suicide mission. His sacrifice allowed the combined fleet to break through the Void Hunter lines and attack their command vessels. The explosion of his ship took out 3 enemy capital ships. "Admiral Brooks is gone," Amy reported with tears in her voice. "But his attack has broken their main formation." All ships pressed the assault. Lieutenant Danny Wright had been promoted to commander after the battle began. He led the final push against the remaining Void Hunter forces using sensor data that revealed weak points in their ship designs. "Focus fire on the junction points between hull sections," Danny ordered. "Zephyrian energy weapons can penetrate their armor if we hit them in the right spots." The battle lasted 18 hours and ended with the complete destruction of the Void Hunter fleet. But the cost was enormous. New Terra colony was heavily damaged, and thousands of lives were lost on both sides. The victory felt hollow in the face of such destruction. In the aftermath of the battle, Lisa found herself appointed as head of a new interspecies medical research division. Her first task was to ensure that the parasitic organisms could never be weaponized again. Working alongside Zephyrian scientists, she developed safeguards that would prevent any species from making the same mistake humanity had made. Jake was chosen as humanity's first ambassador to the galactic community. Standing in the ruins of New Terra, he watched ships from dozens of species arrive to help with reconstruction. The isolation that had defined human policy for centuries was finally ending. Commander Rodriguez, Jake said to Amy, I want you to head the new diplomatic corps. We need people who understand that strength comes from cooperation, not deception. Danny Wright was given command of the first human expedition beyond the old borders into true unknown space. As his ship prepared to leave the solar system, he received a message from deep space. Another species previously unknown was reaching out in friendship. Captain Wright, this is the Andorian Federation, the transmission said. We have been monitoring your battle against the Void Hunters. We would like to establish peaceful contact and offer our assistance in rebuilding. Danny smiled as he replied, Andorian Federation, this is Commander Wright of the Human Exploration Fleet. We welcome your contact and look forward to meeting you as friends. Lisa stood in her new laboratory aboard the research station that had been built from the wreckage of the Void Hunter ships. Around her, human and Zephyrian scientists worked together, studying alien biology and developing new medical treatments. Dr. Carter, her Zephyrian assistant, asked, Do you think other species will forgive humanity for what we did with the parasites? Lisa looked out at the stars where ships from many worlds traveled freely, through what had once been forbidden space. I think forgiveness comes through actions, not words. We have to prove every day that we've learned from our mistakes. The final transmission of the story came from the edge of human space where the barriers had once stood. A small alien vessel approached the border and was greeted not with weapons or threats, but with an offer of friendship and trade. Welcome to human space, the border station commander said. We're glad you're here. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy was truly open, and species could meet as equals rather than enemies. The price of that freedom had been high, but humanity had finally learned that their greatest strength was not their ability to transform enemies, but their capacity to transform themselves. The secret that had kept the galaxy afraid of human space was gone forever, and in its place was something far more valuable. Trust built on truth and alliances, forged in the fires of shared struggle against common enemies. The stars belonged to everyone now, and that was exactly as it should be.